Hi, my name is Tina, and this is Knitting Blooms. You can find show notes for everything I talk about on my blog at www.knittingblooms.com. And if I miss a link, please feel free to contact me on Ravelry as Bloomingknitter, or you can email me at knittingblooms@gmail.com. Come and join the Ravelry group so you can be eligible for all the prize drawings. And be sure to introduce yourself so that I can get to know you also. You can also follow me on Instagram and Twitter as Bloomingknitter. And don't forget to click the like button on Facebook for Knitting Blooms. Today I'm going to show you how to do the braided cast on as well as a twined border. Now, if you have ever done any of the colorwork mittens that we have done in the past for knit-alongs done by Valerie Woodworth, you probably have seen this in her pattern, and maybe you have or haven't done this technique. But I know that a lot of people struggle with it, so I wanted to go ahead and do a tutorial to show you. So we're going to start with two colors, because we're doing a two-color braided cast on so that the cast on kind of looks braided. And what you're going to do is you're going to start with just a simple slip knot, but you're going to do a simple slip knot with both colors. Now, you're not going to count this as one of your stitches. You're going to just drop this off your needle when you get to it after you do your first row. But this is going to be simply just very similar to a long tail cast on, except that we are going to be using the two colors, and we're going to alternate the two colors as we go. So with a long tail cast on, you kind of hold the ends with your fingers on your left hand, and you put your fingers kind of separating out the yarn like such. And you're going to come under and through the one, and that makes a pink stitch. Then you're going to twist the yarn so that the other color is on the top, and you're going to readjust your hands so that now the blue is on the top. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to come under and through, and now I have a blue stitch on the needles. Again, I'm going to twist the yarn, and I'm going to have the pink on the top. And again, just do a long tail cast on. And you're going to continue this until you have cast on all of your stitches. Now, I can tell you that as you do this, you will get a lot of twists in your yarn. If you don't like that, then you might have to take some time and untwist your yarn. But with the next step that I show you, we're going to kind of untwist it a little bit, although the first row is going to be twisting it more, and then the second row will be untwisting it a little bit. But it does get kind of frustrating when you have to keep playing with it. Here I've got all my twists, they're all kind of jumbling together now. I just keep pushing it down so that I can work with some fresh yarn that doesn't have a lot of twist in. I just keep pushing it off to the side. And you're just going to cast on as many stitches as is required in your pattern. And you can see here, as we look at this, you're already seeing a bit of that braid down the side here. And I will continue just doing a few more. And again, all I'm doing is taking the one yarn and twisting it and moving it to the back. And I'm making sure that I do this the same way each time. I don't want to make a stitch and then turn it this way. I always want to go the same direction, so you're going to flip it up and over to the back. Every time, do it the same way. That's part of the key, is that you want to do it the same way each time. So now we have enough stitches cast on. So now all I'm going to do is divide my stitches, because in this particular case I'm going to do it such as like we would do it for fingerless mitts, even though this really isn't fingerless mitts. And I'm not going to be too careful about how I divide the stitches, just so that they're divided in half, and then I'll make a magic loop out of it. just like that. So I have two sides just so that I can show you how to do the next step. Now the first row that we're going to do is going to be just a simple color work row, and so that we can kind of get it prepared for the next step. Now I'm going to pull my I'm going to drop off this slip knot, which I'm not going to use, and I'm going to make sure that my yarn is ready in the right location, so I'm not kind of doing extra yarn overs on my needles. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to work the first row, working the colors as if they are whatever color the stitch is on my needle, that's what color I'm going to knit it with. And so I'm going to just continue just like this. So if it's a pink stitch, I'm going to do pink, and if it's a blue stitch, I'm going to do blue. And this is again how I knit multicolor or Fair Isle, is I hold one color in my left hand and one color in my right hand. And you always want to hold the dominant color in your left hand. So if in this case the pink is in my left hand, so that is going to be my dominant color when I'm doing regular color work. Right now, it does not make too much of a difference right now, because right now we're just getting our row prepared for the twined edging. And again, I'm going to make sure I keep the colors in the same hand. And again, I have lots of twist in my yarn at the other end, so I'm trying to work with that as we go. So again, I'm going to continue to use the same color as I have stitch, making sure to pull tight enough so that I don't have any ladders going up the side. So now I am ready for the twined edge. Now this time I'm not going to hold the yarn in my hands like I would if I was doing color work. I'm just going to manipulate the yarn with my right hand as I go. I'm just going to kind of try and get a little bit of this twist pushed down a little bit further. So again, I'm going to work the same color, use the same color yarn as the color stitch, so there's never any question about what color I'm going to be using. But it does depend on how you are moving the yarn. So the first round we are going to do, we're going to purl the colors, and then we are going to take the yarn down and to the left. So I'm going to keep my yarn in the front so that both yarns are in the front, and I'm going to purl the first stitch. I'm going to kind of just tuck this blue one out of the way because I'm not using that one right now. I'm going to purl the first stitch here, and then I'm going to stick my needle in the second stitch and drop my color, the color I just used, down into the left. And then I'm going to pick up the blue, and I'm going to purl the blue stitch. I'm going to stick my needle in just to kind of secure the needle, kind of stabilize it a little bit. I'm going to drop that yarn down into the left, and I'm going to pick up the pink. And I'm going to purl that stitch. Again, I'm going to stick the needle in just to stabilize the needle and the work, and drop the pink yarn down into the left and pick up the blue. And I'm going to do this all the way around the same way. So now that first row is done, and you can see I have a lot of twists in my yarn. And again, like I said, if this bothers you, then just take some time to untwist it. But the next row is going to take some of that twist out. So just kind of deal with it for a minute, and then you can always take it out if you really need to. So here, let me just show you how it's looking so far. So there it is. You can see that there is a braid happening, kind of like it looks like a crochet chain down the side as you look at it on the side. So the next one is the same thing. We're going to purl the stitches, except this time we're going to take the yarn down and to the right. So we're going to go ahead, and again we're going to work the same color that we are working as the stitch. We're going to purl it, and then we're going to take the yarn down and to the right and bring the other one up underneath and purl that. Down and to the right and bring the other one up underneath. Down and to the right. And you're going to do this all the way around your round. And there you have it. There is the braided cast on with the twined edging, and look how nice that looks. It's just so fun. It just adds a little bit different flair to whatever project you're working on. Now here is an example of how I used it on the Knittopia cuff. This is a pattern that was written for Knittopia. Now on this one I did the twined edging, but I did not do the braided cast on. So the edge of this one is all one color, the cast on, but you can see the twined edge on here, and it's kind of getting a little ratty because I was wearing it at Knittopia this year. But you can do it on both the bottom and the top. So when you get to the top, you would just do your twined edge first, and then do your braided cast off, just like you did the cast on, where you're alternating the colors. But then you're casting off as you go as well. So you can use it for both the top and the bottom. You can use it for cuffs on a sweater. You can use it for anything that has an edge. You could even use this twined edge in the middle of a sweater. Say if you wanted to do an ampere waist and you want to have this this edge or this detail at the ampere waist. So there you have it. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and I hope you will check out other tutorials on my website at www.knittingblooms.com. You can always contact me on Ravelry as Bloomingknitter, or you can email me at knittingblooms@gmail.com. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.